It's been 25 years of media excellence. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Accra. Our digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including ATL FM in Cape Coast, Radio Max in Takrade, and Jubilee FM in Keta. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G. Just a touch. In this edition is day one of a partial lockdown of Ghana's two major cities. We'll tell you how Ghanaians are complying with the restrictions of movements.
Let's give 99, 99, 99, 99. Let's go.
We have details now. 36 people, including health workers at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, will go into quarantine after they came into contact with some Guineans and Burkinabes who have tested positive for COVID-19.
We make sure that their samples are done, and when they are cleared, we cannot be free to attend to other patients that will be visiting the hospital.
The words of comfort from ICGC founder Pastor Mensa Otabil in an era of fear and panic.
God has not given us the spirit of fear. If God did not give us the spirit of fear, where did the spirit of fear come from?
We'll hear more such soothing words also in sports.
General Secretary of the Ghana FA Prosperous Nado talks about how the COVID-19 outbreak has affected the Bring Back the Love campaign.
And later in the bulletin, singing to create awareness about the fast-spreading COVID-19.
Always wash your hands, try and stay indoors. You need that one in out. Corona, what you doing? When the China will be fair, family, so we are peaceful people. Corona, stop what you do.
Latest song from Ghanaian rapper Tulenke titled Corona. We have all that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. And it's day one of a partial lockdown of two of Ghana's major cities, Accra and Kumasi, as 152 Ghanaians test positive for the coronavirus. President Akufo-Addo announced the imposition of the restriction on movements as part of measures to stop the spread of the virus. Our reporters have been on the ground in the two cities today monitoring compliance with the directive. But first, Joy News engaged the Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma on the many questions on the minds of Ghanaians as the country begins the 14-day stay-at-home order. We called it the lockdown. Here's a wrap. Good evening and a warm welcome to the lockdown, a COVID-19 pandemic special coverage here.
For well over 60 minutes, listeners of Joy 99.7 FM, Love 99.5 FM, and viewers of the Joy News channel asked various questions. These bordered largely on what kinds of movements were permitted and which ones were not. Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma had the answers.
2 weeks locked up or locked down. What's next after the 2 weeks? Thank you.
So 2 weeks gives us an opportunity to do this very aggressive surveillance and testing. And then depending on the outcome of what we find, we're able to make a clear determination that indeed we have succeeded in containing it, or that some other consequential measures.
How far is too far? I'm in Dansoma control. And can I move from control to Dansoma market?
So as much as possible, it is in your own interest to stay at home. And if for some exempt reason you have to step out, let it be within your neighborhood, not more than your electoral area.
You have an emergency like a running stomach, an injury from whatever you are doing, and you want to get access to a medical care. How then do you get it? And what are the required information to be given to the personnel out there for them to assist you?
Now, if you're going to step out for a medical emergency, the police and the military have been given a bit of training and orientation to use what we call the local discretion to allow people for medical emergencies, depending on their own intelligence assessment, to make a determination so that they can give you a pass for you to move.
Before I go, a related question that was sent in earlier also about whether herbal clinic and centers are exempted from this. Are they also allowed to operate during the period?
To the extent that they are not handling emergencies, it is not our contemplation that they are exempt for persons to move around.
For those of us who step out every morning to exercise, to take a walk, is this something we can still do within our immediate environment under the new directives, or this is also not allowed?
As much as possible, jog or exercise within your compound. As much as possible. And there are several exercises we can do in our compounds to a large extent. The spirit of the restrictions is to ensure that as much as possible people should stay home. It is in this jog that you say you are going for a 20 kilometer or 10 kilometer jog that you may go to pick up the virus.
Questions were also asked about PPEs for frontline health workers.
So some of the reports that we are getting from some of the health facilities are that they don't have it. I have doctor friends who say, "Kojo, we hear what you guys are saying at the top, but we don't have it here."
That's the reality.
And so the president has instructed that we do a quick validation, because we are aware that we've sent a good chunk through the system to the regional levels. We've also sent money to regional directors that, listen, if it's the deployment that is difficult, you can buy a bit from the open market and ensure that people have it.
He also warned government would not countenance any act that derailed the efforts to contain the pandemic.
We are not in ordinary times, and any attempt to pump out misinformation that can compromise this battle will not be countenanced. And if it means coming in very tough on persons who ordinarily do this and get away with it, the state is willing so to do.
Okay. Information Minister has been busy, but he found time to be part of the lockdown. This may not be the last of the lockdown on all our platforms. I am Emefa Apawu. It's been the lockdown. Thank you so much for your company.
And that's how it all went down on the lockdown. And like I said, you never know, it will be coming to you once again. But our reporters have been on the ground in the two cities today after the restrictions kicked in at 1 a.m. This morning. My colleague Mamiesi Nyameche Thompson started all of us from Tema. Now, what's the situation as you've witnessed?
So, Emefa, since morning, I've been in town. Most residents are adhering to restrictions not to come out of their homes. And I was at the Community 1, the business district, earlier today. Activities are very slow. Commercial drivers are in town. They are not getting passengers because most residents are at home and they are not coming out. Also, other people are adhering to safety protocols that have been put in place, washing of hands, putting on nose mask, and going by the directives that have been taking place. We also know that security agencies and personnel are in town, ensuring that people do not go overboard. Emefa.
Well, Mamiesi, I must also ask, you have been to certain areas. You live in Tema, for instance. Knowing what you've witnessed today as against the everyday activity in Tema, how is it affecting residents and what exactly have they been saying about this?
Well, over here in Tema, especially in a working week like this one, it's usually busy. You find a lot of people going to work as early as 5:30 a.m. But when I went out today, I hardly saw anyone on the streets. Most of the commercial vehicles going around were going empty. And I could hardly see people on the street to speak to. The only people that I had opportunity to speak to were the few traders who had gone to the market and wanted to know if they could be allowed to sell, especially those selling the perishable goods. So apart from them, you hardly see anybody on the street, even in front of their homes. There's nobody there.
Well, that's good. At least they're complying. Let's head to Kumasi now, where my colleague Kwesi Deborah has also been monitoring the situation. Kwesi Deborah, what's the situation in Greater Kumasi?
Yes, for when you go around Kumasi, especially the Dr. Men's area, which is the central business district, almost everybody is the place almost deserted. You haven't stores, pharmacies, every place is deserted. And for instance, when you go to the market, the inside, the market, what you find out is that most came in the morning, but they had to close their shops because they are afraid for their lives. They think that being there is a bit dangerous because there's no security to protect them. And also when you go to the market, the race course market also, you find that because the numbers have reduced, the price of goods have come down. So market produce, first of all, you go and it's about 10 cities down. When you go, it's about 5 cities. So kind of a 100% reduction kind of thing, which is happening there at the Central Bank. Security has been built up at the documents area. The security they are around. It's only the city guards who complain to me, but when they approach some of the people and ask them where they are going, they tend to reject them as well. So that is what's happening. But for the Doom and other places, you see security personnel walking around trying to ensure order and trying to ensure that the president's directive for the partial lockdown is fully enforced.
That's my colleague Christy Deborah from Kumasi. Now, here in Accra, my colleague PSC Nanaya Safo has been out and about, and we're told that the AMA officials has had cause to seize the goods of some market women because they were selling outside the designated areas. We can hear some sounds from that.
I sell onions and pepper. They said we can come and sell. Now they're seizing our things. We know there's an outbreak, but we understood we are allowed to sell the items, else they'll go bad. They have come for my things. We need to come out and sell, else things will go bad. We were told we can sell oko and other food items. We got here, and they have come to seize all our items. They are telling us to go into the market, but we told them the market is closed. They said we should go and speak to their bosses at the office.
You heard there some traders interacting with PSC Nanaya Safo. Now, ahead of the deployment of security personnel for the restriction to be, implemented, head of our security desk, Gifty Andra-Pia, was embedded with police officers implementing the directive and reports some people who got to the Emefa toll booth after 1 a.m. Were turned back, whilst others traveling within the city were warned.
Let's give 99. Adana, let's go!
It all started here, the police headquarters. Uniformed men prepared to head out to enforce restrictions on movements starting today. The officers would receive stern warnings and a rather repetitive reminder of the exemptions and what this is all about.
You need to observe identification properly. The coronavirus is not a joke. So, please, it's a serious matter. Don't go and see someone and say, it's my friend. If he's not supposed to pass through, the person is not passing through. That's all. If he's exempted, he's exempted. I hope that is clear. So, there is no joke. And yet, do the job as a policeman by rules and regulations. If you are in doubt, call the JOC.
One thing was lost though.
PPEs will be delivered to your duty points. We'll get a team that will come to your point and deliver PPEs to you.
Nearly 20 minutes to 1 a.m., some of the personal protective equipment arrived. Off the team goes. Some were scared. They ran away when they heard the police. Others said they need to work to make money. But this is the first day of Ghana's partial lockdown, so it's more of a gentle plea for people to get indoors. Away from Nima, we make our way through Adenta to Emefa. The first roadblock so far. And now, what looks like a recalcitrant driver showed up. They were warned and let go. At the Emefa toll booth, the story was a lot different. The stern police officers here spoke very few words and insisted no one will cross this line.
If you know, we are working, and so now that we are done, we need to go back to our families, and we can't. I'm not faulting the authorities because it is indeed the law, but I also think that in certain cases like ours, we should be allowed to proceed.
They were only allowed to make a U-turn, and all of them sent back from where they came. But even that was a huge relief to these men who would have been stuck here at the toll booth. It was obvious to the police service that how they start today will go a long way to determine their success in the next 2 weeks. Gifty Andopia, Joy News, Accra.
And now, as part of preparations towards the imposition of this lockdown, most of you have been to the market to stock up food and are still looking for an opportunity to do so. But don't waste your money to stock up food. That's according to the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Kutrefie. My colleague, Ernest Meno, is currently at a briefing at the Information Ministry by the Minister. Why is he saying we shouldn't waste our money to stock up food?
Well, he says that we have enough money, enough food in the system to deal with the needs of Ghanaians as far as food is concerned. He admits that there's been a hike in prices on the world market, but Ghana is immune from this because of the measures put in place by government through the Planting for Food and Jobs program. And so as far as the ministry is concerned, there'll be no need to even control prices because he predicts that in the next few weeks, prices will come down because not many people will be going to the market to purchase food items because we have it in abundance. And what we need to control, rather, is consumer behavior. And the minister also announced that the finance ministry will soon announce a package for critical players in the food chain value. And this would go specifically into soya, rice, and poultry production.
That's my colleague Ernest Menu. We'll get more of that subsequently. But let's head to the Tamale Teaching Hospital now, because we are told that 36 people, mostly health workers, at the hospital will go into quarantine after they came into contact with some Guineans and Burkinabes who have tested positive for COVID-19. Police officers who moved the foreigners from their hotel to the hospital for the testing have also been identified and are being quarantined. The Northern Regional Minister, Salifu Said, who disclosed this to Joy News, dismissed claims by residents of Tamale. The foreigners had been in Tamale for over 4 days before they were found and quarantined.
Cases have been identified and they are being picked. We have looked for a location. They are going to quarantine them. Then also the guest house workers. We have also gotten the medical team. They've gone to talk to them. They've already profiled those of them who have been there, and they are also being quarantined. Now the medical team, that is some doctors and nurses at TTA that who were treating the people suffering from the diarrhea, who have been confirmed from this thing. They just did the check-up. All the team members were, and the number has numbered the nurses and the doctors from the TTA. And I have just asked my regional coordinator to team up with the hospital TTA CEO to get a hotel that will do for them up, and all of them will be quarantined so that they will be checked. We make sure that their samples are done, and when they are cleared, we cannot be free to attend to other patients that will be visiting the hospital.
Well, the Minister joins us, thankfully, on the line with more on this issue. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News, Mr. Salifu Said. So you've mentioned a while ago that samples ought to be taken of these health workers and those who have come into contact with these Burkinabes and Guineans. Have that been done? Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Said. I'm asking about you saying a while ago that samples ought to be taken from those who have come into contact with these Guineans and Burkinabes. My question then is, has that been done? If not, how soon are we hoping to do it?
Yes, the thing happened yesterday, and by middle of the night, we had gotten the accommodation for all of them have been put. The rest of taking samples, the hospital, they are the people taking the samples to be sent to Kumasi. And by this time, I'm convinced that the sample is even on the way going to Kumasi. Because even the medical professionals themselves were equally worried that we should act very fast, and we've done that.
But how many persons exactly are we looking at in this? How many of them do we have in the isolation as we speak?
40.
40 of them?
Yeah, 40 of them.
And this includes health workers, police, and ordinary residents, or what exactly are we looking at?
Even the 40 is just the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the medical team that they have suspected that they might have gone through the chain, because one of them was suffering from this kidney problem. They said dialysis or what. So they were handling the issues from the X-ray to whatever laboratory, all the people within the chain have been, and it numbered up to 40. So for them, they are there. Now, the hotel that the people are the workers, they also have been identified and they have also been quarantined. Then also the police who went and then picked them to the hospital and back to the hotel. For the first day when I got the hint, I instructed that they should go and pick them. We didn't know that they didn't need to touch them. They just needed to block them at the hotel first. So the police to the commander instructed, and this morning they've gone to the place, and then they have been quarantined, and they have to pick their samples to add up, and everything will be sent to the Kumasi for the sampling. The testing will be done on that.
Well, some residents who interacted with us raised concerns about the number of days these foreigners were in Tamale. They say that they were there for up to 4 days. Is a claim you are dismissing?
What is happening is that immediately the security people, because I made them to be doing recce around the hotel, because these are areas that we had control over, especially when this thing, I was informed by the fact that Kumasi, they identify a community case. So I also now said that given the nature of our borders around the north, we have both the approved and unapproved routes. So they should monitor the hotels. If we have people from the Sahelian countries who have come into our part of the region to do transactions, they should immediately bring them up. So the first day they went round, they didn't get. It was the second day they got them in that hotel. So for us, the very day we got the knowledge that they got into that hotel, they were picked. And that very day, then the TTH people said no, they shouldn't bring them to there. If RCC, we could take care of the cost of this staying there and feeding them. I said yes, we are ready to do that. And so yesterday was the 11th day.
Okay. We're grateful for your time. That's the Northern Regional Minister, Mr. Salifu Said, there on the situation. You heard him. 40 persons have been quarantined so far as we speak, after they came into contact with the Guineans and the Burkinabes that have tested positive of COVID-19. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Also live on myjoyonline.com. It's day one of a lockdown of Ghana's two major cities, and we've been telling you how Ghanaians are complying. When we return, we hear the words of comfort from ICGC founder Pastor Mensa Otabil in an era of fear and panic. And then also later in the bulletin, singing to create awareness about the fast-spreading COVID-19.
Always wash your hands, try and stay indoors. You need just one in out. Corona, what you doing? When the China will be fair, fun by so we are peaceful people. Corona, stop what you doing.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation over the past 45 years. We've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports now. Benedict has the latest.
Yes, the Ghana League was picking up. Interest was gradually building up with some attention on matches week in, week out until the COVID-19 outbreak forced the FA to put everything on hold. Now, General Secretary of the FA, Prosper Harrisonado, has been speaking to us on how the current situation has affected their plans.
Having come from the normalization period, having put in a lot of resources and energy to get our football back to a very good level. We're aiming to do more to take it to the very top, and then there comes the virus. We had to stop all competitions, and then later we had to also close down the secretariat to the public and patrons. So currently the secretariat is closed, even though a few of our staff members who have key work to do at the secretariat go in and out to do those jobs. The secretariat is virtually closed, and all the clubs too, like we instructed, have stopped training, and the players have gone home.
So that's Prosper Senado. He's General Secretary of the Football Association. Now, it would only be fair to award Liverpool the Premier League title if the season is not completed because of coronavirus. That's according to Manchester City midfielder Ilkay Gundogan. Now, with football in England suspended until at least April 30, Liverpool have a 25-point lead over defending champions Manchester City and are 2 wins from the first top-flight title in 30 years. That's just it.
Thank you very much, Benedict Owusu. Head of Health Desk, Fred Smith, has joined me in studio with Ghana's situation on COVID-19. But let's quickly cross over to the Oti region, where we are learning that the Nkwanta North District has begun checking a number of people moving into the area. DCE Jackson Bassa joins us on the line on this latest development. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. What really is the situation? How are you getting people moving in droves to your area?
Yes, thanks so much. Let me take this opportunity to say hello to all your listeners. Yeah, it's very true. After the lockdown, the announcement with regards to the lockdown to Accra in Kumasi was announced, we had a lot of people running down to Bassa. Bassa is the district capital of Nkwanta North. So in order to be able to contain the situation, we also put in some measures. We've done a lot of public education. And so what we did is, another thing we did was the public education. Apart from that, we tried to engage the services of the military at the barrier. When buses are coming with people from Accra, we stop them and screen them before they allow them to go to their various homes. We've also made education to educate the public about every household should ensure that they designate at least one room for the returnees who are coming from Accra or elsewhere, so that they can do self-quarantine.
Okay.
Yes, so that they will do self-quarantine for at least a period of 2 weeks. So that in that period, when they detect anything, they will quickly report to the health directorates, and then we take it from there.
Well, there's also talk that you have imposed a curfew in the area. Is that the case?
Oh, I don't think it's a curfew. It's not a curfew.
Okay.
What I think what will happen was those cars that arrived in the night, the screening where they were stopped at the barrier, and then the screening was done before they allowed them to go. There's nothing like curfew. Just about asking them to stop, and then we do all the screening is done for everybody before the person is allowed to go.
We're grateful. That's the DC for Nkwanta North District, Jackson Bassa there. And Fred Smith is with me in the studio. We're checking Ghana's situation as we speak. What is it?
Great news to report, Emefa. There's been no new case in the last 24 hours, the first time in a very long time since the coronavirus started spreading. Ghana's case count still stands at 152 since the last reporting at midday yesterday, and the website has been updated in the last hour, and the figures remain same. It's not as if we're not testing MFA. The Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research tested at 17 samples, 3 from the Upper East, 3 from Northeast, and 11 from Ashanti regions, and all returned negative. No new test results have so far been received from the Gucci Memorial Institute for Medical Research since the last update. And another good news, MFA, 2 COVID-19 positive persons who were under treatment have fully recovered and have now been discharged. They've gone home now. And 2 other patients, COVID-19 patients, appear to have also recovered and are awaiting laboratory results to inform the decision to discharge them. There's also been no new deaths. The death toll remains at 5. Great news today, MFR.
Well, but what's the global situation?
Well, the global story is not as pleasant as we have in Ghana. Cases continue to climb. The confirmed cases are more than 735,000. Almost 35,000 persons have died, and the good news there is that 156,000 plus have recovered. The United States has the highest number of cases at 143,000 plus and nearly 5,000 deaths. Shutdowns have been announced in some states, and the story is completely different in China, where the disease started. The situation has been brought under control, and life, we understand, has returned to normal. The government announced this morning that nearly all of its major industrial companies have resumed productions today.
Well, that's ahead of Health Desk here. Fred Smith, thank you with the Ghana situation and, of course, the global situation as well. There's a lot of fear and panic. No need for that. General Overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, Pastor Menzel Tabel, says it's a good time to display our true beliefs as Christian and also allay all fears. And he's been speaking during a live transmission of his sermon on Sunday.
God has not given us the spirit of fear. If God did not give us the spirit of fear, where did the spirit of fear come from?
He has more shortly after the midday news. Now, musicians, like many other Ghanaians, have been forced to stay indoors as a result of the fast spreading COVID-19. No shows with limited studio time and loss of revenue. Ghanaian rapper Tulenke, however, has decided to use the limited studio time to produce a song titled Corona to create awareness about the pandemic. Listen.
Shows, you close, Joe. To the bank, we can be on the book, last flight to a safe room. So I cancel shows, I stay home. Make cash to cry lucky, I make him rare. Cause I'm in the MP, they make slow. Family and so dodgy promoters. Corona to a boy, no BS row. Corona to which I am out blow. Corona to a now do it to Aquasha Island, wine and slow, BS row. Never push it, they make him rare.
You're not wrong. I'm sure you can hear Tajwa also in the background. That's Tulenke with the coronavirus song. And later, subsequently, we'll tell you about all that is happening in Parliament as the Finance Minister prepares to brief the House on our preparedness in terms of the COVID-19 and the latest on the $100 million fund to be made available to fight the pandemic. I am Emefa Apawu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good afternoon.
All day, brand new song, wash our hands while